Hello and a very good morning from Stockholm here in Sweden. It's just before 6 o'clock in the morning, it's about minus 12 degrees out, it's absolutely Baltic. Anyway, I'm just making my way to Stockholm Central Station today to be travelling to Gothenburg with an open access operator called MTRX, who operate a fleet of Stadler FLIRT units. So yeah, just gonna go hop on the metro to the station and yeah, let's head to Gothenburg. As I've said in a previous video, the metro, along with the city's network of trams, are probably the best way of getting around Stockholm. Even this early in the morning, trains are still pretty frequent, especially within the city centre. However, at 38 krona for a one-way ticket, it's not exactly the cheapest metro system to use out there, although I guess that is to be somewhat expected, given that, on the whole, Sweden is a little more expensive than most other countries in Western Europe. After a short ride on the metro, we arrive at Stockholm Central Station. While you can go straight from the metro to the concourse of the station without ever having to venture back out into the cold, I've decided to brave the freezing conditions once more to show you the station's facade all nice and lit up. Stockholm Central Station originally opened in July of 1871 and is Sweden's busiest railway station, serving just shy of 40 million passengers per year prior to the pandemic. As has been the case with all of my Scandinavian videos to date, I filmed this in the run-up to Christmas, so the station, both inside and out, has been decorated rather nicely for the festive season. As we enter, just to the left, you'll find the ticket office for the national operator SJ. They also operate trains on the Stockholm to Gothenburg route, and you can find my review of their offering in the top right corner of the screen now. And then we find the concourse, which, I must say, looks rather beautiful by night. The departure boards are just dead ahead of us as we enter, and our train, which is the 0711 to Gothenburg Central Station, will be departing from platform 13 this morning. Despite our unlucky platform number, we're currently on track for an on-time departure. The station is home to really quite a good selection of shops, cafes and restaurants, both up here and on the lower level, many of which are even open this early.
Vi återkommer med beräknad avgångstid. SJ regional 6:39 är idag inställt. SJ regional.
On the lower level, you'll also find luggage lockers. Prices start at 39 krona per hour or 199 krona for 24 hours. Anyway, time to head up to the platform and await the arrival of our train. The platforms are accessible by this passageway, with stairs taking you up to track level. Lifts are also provided for those who require them. On the platform next to where our train will be departing from, waits a Malone regional train in the form of this double-decker Stadler KISS unit. Anyway, I've got a bit of time to wait until our train arrives, giving me the perfect opportunity to tell you about today's video sponsors, NordVPN. As someone who travels by train a lot, I often find myself forced into using the onboard Wi-Fi to get my work done. However, most of the time, this means connecting to an unsecure network, putting my personal data and quite literally my livelihood at risk. However, with NordVPN and their next generation NordLynx VPN tunneling solution, I don't have to worry about any of this. NordVPN is a bit like the TGV or Shinkansen of VPNs, as it's the fastest VPN service out there, meaning you're not sacrificing much in the way of browsing speed, all while still protecting your personal data from hackers and whatnot. And on the off chance your VPN connection drops, well, it's fail-safe, as it has an automatic kill switch, cutting your connection to the internet and protecting your data. And at the end of a long day of filming in some far-flung land, when I'm tired and just want to catch up on my favourite shows from back home, there's nothing more frustrating than being location blocked out of my viewing pleasure. However, with NordVPN, I can virtually change my browsing location. Just one click and it's like being back home in the UK, with all of my favourite shows at my disposal. Now, you're probably thinking that this is all mega expensive, but NordVPN have got your back, as they're offering 70% off a 2-year plan, and are even chucking in an extra month for free. And it's completely risk-free too, with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Just head to nordvpn.com/DylanTR to grab this bargain for yourself. The link is also at the top of the description, as well as in the comments below. And with that, let's head to Gothenburg. The train eventually pulls in from the depot about 5 minutes prior to departure. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, MTRX operate a fleet of Stadler FLIRT trains. MTRX's FLIRTs have been classified as X74s here in Sweden. The X74s entered service when MTRX first launched in 2015 and have a top speed of 200 km an hour or 124 miles an hour. Now I must admit, I was slightly disappointed to find out that the unit that would be taking us to Gothenburg wasn't Trainee McTrainface, which MTRX named one of their units in reference to the British research vessel that, after a poll, was almost named Boaty McBoatface. They eventually settled on calling the ship the RSS Sir David Attenborough. Now, I've booked a Plus class ticket for today's trip, which is what MTRX call first class on their trains. I have reserved Coach A, seat 30, which I selected from a seating plan when booking. Despite this being first class, seating is, unfortunately, still in a 2+2 configuration. That said, I still found legroom to be really good. You'll find a seat back pocket with some literature waiting for you, as well as a pair of cup holders. A large and sturdy tray table is also provided, which is always good to see, as well as this little fold-out shelf, which I guess is designed as somewhere to put down smaller personal items such as mobile phones, without the need for folding down the main tray table. Plastic bags can be found by the window seat, so you can dispose of any litter that you may accumulate throughout the trip. A plug socket can be found between the seats, although only one is provided per pair of seats, which is a bit disappointing. That said, if you're a solo traveller, MTRX will ensure that the seat next to you is left vacant. Integrated into the headrest, you'll find this rather snazzy reading light. Under the seat, there's controls for the recline, which I found to be rather good. As for the seats themselves, well, I found them to be pretty comfortable. The cushioning is quite good, and I found them to be well shaped, so nothing to really complain about from me here. Last few points, you'll find an additional reading light on the luggage rack, coat hooks can be found on the wall, and there's also a window blind available for you to use should you wish. One last thing before we set off, let's just take a quick look at our route for today. For those of you who watched the SJX 2000 video, this will look very familiar, as we head southwest from Stockholm and via Skövde before we arrive into Sweden's second city, Gothenburg. Scheduled travel time today is 3 hours and 19 minutes and our top speed will be 200 km an hour. And we depart on time at just after 7:10. We waste no time in picking up some speed as we make our way out of central Stockholm.
First class plus and your booking is made more than 24 hours in advance. A breakfast will be served at your seat after departure from Södertälje. Feel free to move around in the train, but please be careful as we have stairs on board and we don't want anyone to stumble. I will soon walk around.
The sky puts on a stunning display of orange as the sun begins to rise while we cross the Tilley canal. A few moments later, we arrive at our first calling point, Tilley South. Besides the canal we just crossed, the city is also known for its ties to car manufacturer Scania and pharmaceuticals company AstraZeneca. Shortly after departing Tilley, one of the hosts comes round handing out breakfast boxes. The box includes a ham and cheese roll, apple juice, some granola and yogurt, and is accompanied by a choice of tea or coffee. While pretty basic, it was nice enough and certainly appreciated. After finishing breakfast, the crew came round with another tea and coffee service. We soon grind to a halt. It turned out that this was due to a fault with the signalling system, which resulted in us picking up about a 15-minute delay. Fault apparently resolved and we're back on our way. Right, time for the obligatory wonder. Plus is located at one end of the train, the front in this instance. Moving past the crew compartment, we find second class. Can you spot the difference with the seats here? Nope, me neither. They're exactly the same as the Plus seats, minus the guarantee of the adjacent seat being empty. Moving towards the middle of the train, we find the cafe, where you can purchase drinks, snacks, and cold meals. Past the power-related section, that seems to be a feature on a lot of flirts, is an area that has been lowered to allow for easier access for wheelchair users and those of reduced mobility. Naturally, this is where you'll find the accessible toilet and spaces for wheelchair users. As for the interior, well, I really quite like it. The red and black on the seats looks very nice, and the lighting is essentially a spruced up version of what you'll find on the Greater Anglia flirts back home in England, which is definitely a good thing. There are also information screens located throughout each coach, providing journey updates in both Swedish and English. And if you're wondering about luggage storage, well, you'll be pleased to hear that there's plenty of space for that throughout the train. Of course, no train tour is complete without a toilet inspection, and these were all well designed and functioning as intended as far as I can tell, so no complaints here from me. As you'd expect, this train is Wi-Fi enabled, and it is of course free to use, and as an added bonus, it's got one of the fastest download speeds I've ever come across on the rails. quick word about ride quality. I'm sure that if you've been on a Stadler FLIRT before, you'll agree that this is generally really good, and this is no exception for MTRX's units, even when travelling at 200 km an hour. About an hour out of Gothenburg, we arrive at our next calling point, Webday. The largest haul of treasure ever found in the Nordic countries was discovered here in Webday in 1904. The treasure dated from between the 5th and 6th centuries AD and consisted of over 7 kilograms of gold, much of it 24 carats. Not gonna lie, I wish I'd stumble across 7 kilos of gold sometime soon. About half an hour later, we call at Herrljunga, which is notable for its production of cider.
You have 2.
Our next and final stop is Alingsås, which signifies the beginning of the end of our journey today. As we approached Gothenburg, the crew came round handing out sweets, which I thought was a nice touch. So, I've been left with mixed opinions on the MTRX Plus experience. Had I travelled in second class, I'd currently be telling you about how this is one of the best second class products out there, as the seats were undeniably comfortable. But as it is, I've paid more than twice as much for a Plus ticket, and what did I receive in return? A light breakfast and a couple of cups of coffee. For me, unless it's essential for you to have no one sat next to you, I would just travel in second class. As for the cost, I paid 495 krona for my one-way ticket, booking just over 2 weeks in advance. If you want to travel in first class on this route, I'd recommend travelling with the national operator SJ. While the tickets are generally a little bit more expensive, the onboard experience is far superior in my opinion. My final stance on MTRX Plus is that there's certainly potential to make it great, but it's underwhelming for now. But what did you make of the experience? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. We eventually pull into Gothenburg Central Station, about 15 minutes late, at 11:15. So yes, made it to Gothenburg after the journey over with MTRX. Bit of an interesting one. The seats seem to be exactly the same as second class, with the only difference being you get a bit of food chucked at you. Food was alright, nothing too special though. I don't know if I'd pay the extra next time. Crew seemed friendly enough though, and the only thing is we made it a little bit late due to a signal fault, about 10-15 minutes in the end. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to help us out by giving it a like. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications as I publish new trip reports every Monday and Friday. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.